After it's all said and done, the narcissist is nothing more than a chump. Before you go any further, this video is going to contain some graphic language and sexual content. I got a message today, one of the comments on a video, asking me to make a video regarding the narcissist's use of humiliation tactics in order to gain control. Luckily, that's what I was prepared to make a video about anyway. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of rehash some old stuff and go a little deeper into it and show how my parents' humiliation tactics were obviously a means to control me, but really it was only because they were the ones to be humiliated, because they are chumps. Now, I've spoken in the past about my father and what had happened when I was a child with the Little League. And just to summarize real quickly, my father got into coaching down there, made it about himself, started a fight in the league. And I started thinking, I was remembering about what the whole issue was and what it was and what the problem was. The league was split into 3 different divisions, and basically by age and talent. Pee-wees was all 8-year-olds, so everybody who was 8 years old played Pee-wees. The middle was minor leagues, so that was everybody from 9 to up till 12. And then the third was majors, which you would get drafted to majors. 10, you could get drafted anywhere from 10 to 12. Well, my father made the decision that he didn't like the way the draft, he didn't like the idea of the draft. My father was a minor league coach at the time, already causing problems within the league. He decided he didn't like the way the draft was, so he started making issues, saying like everybody 11 and 12 should go up to major leagues. Caused all this issues, all these fights, and never even asked me what I wanted or what I thought. And here I was 10 years old, and my first thought is, why is my father trying to change the rules? He must think I suck. And I didn't. I was actually pretty good back then. But that's where the first part of the humiliation tactic comes in, really. My father had this thing with me where he would make fun of me in front of other people, usually make fun of me with my brother and my mother involved. And what he used to say to me all the time was, if something wasn't going right, or even if something was going right, he would say, he'd laugh at me and go, "You're just like your Uncle Kenny, his brother. Oh, he'd try and he couldn't do it, and he'd do this and that, and he'd get so mad, just like you." That's what I heard my entire childhood, was being compared, everything was being compared to my Uncle Kenny. And he would say this with baseball. And I could play, like he would do it just to shake my confidence. It's like almost that humiliation factor. Just to shake my confidence. So everything was like, oh, you just like, and this is his brother, his younger brother. So that's why, and I know, like, that tells me that he must have been doing that to his younger brother. So his younger brother knows exactly who my father is. Because there's no way he's there saying my whole childhood on everything, making fun of me, pointing and laughing, comparing me to his younger brother. And his younger brother don't know exactly who my father is. And he'd say that with everything. I mean, you're just like your Uncle Kenny, you're just like your Uncle Kenny. But he would say it with, and I had a couple things, like he would say it in baseball, because my father would do things to me that would make me worse. My father forced me to bat from the right side, even though I'm a natural lefty, and he would not acknowledge that I was a natural lefty. He would make me hit, and I wasn't a natural right-handed hitter. He would make me hit right-handed. And it wasn't to make me a switch hitter. I eventually learned to do it, but my left side has always been my... And he was... See, it was like, it was a weird thing with baseball, because... Well, it was a weird thing with me. What I found out about me was, you know, one of the other things my father would make fun of me about was, you know, they shoot targets in the backyard with these high-powered pellet guns, and I could never hit the target, and I didn't know what the hell was wrong. And I'm firing. And finally, my father points, he goes, "You're closing the wrong eye. Close the other eye." And I couldn't. Like, I can only close my right eye. And I'm right-handed. I write with my right hand. I mean, this is the weird thing. But I can only close my right eye. That means my left eye is dominant. And I found out only like a couple years ago. It's called cross-ocular dominance, and you know, it's something. It's pretty rare. It's more prevalent in people with lighter eyes with a recessive gene, and especially with a green-eyed gene, which I am. You know, it seems to be more prevalent. So there's certain things I can do left-handed. There's certain things I do right-handed. There's certain things I can do with my left leg, and certain things I can do with my right leg dominant. It's all screwed up. But instead of like looking it up and trying to help me, you know, I eventually learned to shoot and do everything left-handed because of the dominant eye, which also explained why I was hitting from the left side. If you know anything about baseball, your back eye is your dominant eye. So that's why I would hit from the left side. But my father, you know, there was no, oh, let's figure this out, and you know, it's not like it's like a disease or anything. It's just something that certain people have. No, it's something to be made fun of and laughed at and humiliated for it. So that's a little background. Back to the Little League. So here's my father now, causing all these problems, demanding they change the rules. And my father's nobody, but he thinks, you know, he's just gonna go and scream and yell. And what happened? When it was my turn to get drafted, none of the coaches drafted me. Why would they? When you got this troublemaker screaming and yelling and causing freaking problems. And also, I would ask the same question, like, he's got a kid in the league and his kid must suck. But they knew I could play because they watched the game. I mean, they knew I could play. So I mean, now that wasn't even it. It was just, you know, my fault. But he didn't care because it was about him. So I thought about all this, and at the time I never really put it together. And then it dawned on me. And this is back in 1983, 84, 83. And it dawned on me. Now, I always, listen, I've been under, you know, these past years knowing my father's a chump. But every day, it just becomes more and more obvious of what a chump he is. Because anybody who has kids now and tries to do anything with athletics with a child now knows all about the participation trophy. And when you think about what my father was doing there, my father was father of the participation trophy. Congratulations. Congratulations, you loser. $1983. So all of us who are dealing now with these participants, everybody gets an award. Everybody started that. You can thank my father. Don't even call it the participation award. Call it the Brian, because that's what it is. It's the Brian. I didn't want to play with substandard. I wouldn't wanted to play with substandard players. You know, he would make fun of them. He would make fun of the coaches because he said we want the best players because then we could move on the all-star team. You know, we want to get to Williamsburg. My father would make fun of them. How dare you even dream to go to Williamsburg and play in the Little League World Series? Chump. Chump. And after it moved past the baseball and into my teen years, you know, my wife asked me, and we talk. You know, she has a very similar story, and I've talked about it before, how my bedroom and my parents' bedroom shared the same wall. And my mother kept making me sleep on the same wall as their bed. So literally, there was about this much space between me and my parents' beds, with a wall in between. I mean, you think about what the thickness of an actual wall. Maybe this far. Maybe this far. And you know, I've talked about the you know, the banging on the wall, the very short-lived banging on the wall. Every time, very short-lived. Sorry, I know you just cleaned the sheets. You're just so pretty. Oh. It explains so much later on when I was dating and how I dealt with women. Oh, and they put me through this. Oh God. He was a grown man. And the funny part about him is he can't stop fucking touching his dick. He can't stop jerking off. I've talked about the pornography all over the place. The guy is in the bathroom nonstop at his dick like a fucking monkey. I'm sure he still is, well into his 60s. And how many times I would walk in to their house and there he'd be in his fucking banana hammock. Fucking at himself. You figure somebody who's at himself that more could do more than fucking 3 seconds in his 30s, but no. 2-pump chump. Sorry about your sweater. It's just so pretty. It explains so much of how he was acting, you know, later on. And I've talked about, you know, my relationships with women and, you know, the jealousy. You know, my mother, it wouldn't make sense. She's all fucking, because she's over-sexualized and running all over the fucking place. And she's got this fucking chump who's got pornography all over the place. He can't stop fucking touching his dick, talking about every other woman in the town or on the block they live down the shore. Just know this. If you know my father and he's nice to you, he's jerking off and touching his dick to you. Trust me. Trust me, that's his gig. That's his gig. He can't stop. He can't help it. He can't stop grabbing his dick. And for as much as he's fucking jerking off all the time, you think with all that fucking practice, no. Sorry. Because it makes sense. Even the set, even about, I talked about the sex party and the video. The video we saw, my father was obviously the one shooting it. So he's like some fucking cuckold in the corner fucking whacking his bag. I don't even know. Chump. And I would think about the things he would do to me and my mother would do to me and how to humiliate, and how they were trying to control me through humiliation. And the point is this. The humiliation wasn't mine. The humiliation is their own. They're just projecting their own humiliation onto you and onto me. That's what your abuser does. That's how they use humiliation. See, they know what a effective tactic it is because they're so afraid of it themselves. So they use what they fear most on the person because they figure if I can make that person humiliated, then it's never going to come back on me. Until you get some distance, okay? Until you get some distance and you can reevaluate everything that's going on, okay? And then you realize that, all these good for you staying in the sheets. It's funny. And you understand, you understand, wow, this person is a chump. Now, a few videos back, I talked about the fight over the baby furniture and my father's tendencies for letters. My father loves writing a letter. Loves a letter. But he doesn't think and remember, oh yeah, then it's permanent. And, as I reread the letter, I'm something popped into my mind after reading one of the letter, one of the letters he wrote during the baby furniture incident, where he was going through his narcissistic guilt of everything he's done for me. Okay? And he made 3 separate references to coaching my champion, and he made sure your championship team. My championship Little League team at 11. And he's using this in an argument when I'm 31 years old, talking about coaching my championship Little League team. Let's let that sink in for a second, please. You're an idiot, dude. That's what the narcissist does. 20 years later, they're talking about a championship Little League team from when you were 11. When you're dealing with a child, your own child. That's the chumpness of a narcissist. That is chump. Because you know what? Up until that time, I had never thought of that team again. Obviously, he's been reliving it in his mind. Maybe he was at that point for 20 years. Now I think it's like 33 years. Or I'm sorry, 31 years. He's been replaying that in his mind. Chump. Chump. All of them. Chumps. You gotta analyze. You gotta look into what makes your narcissist tick. You have to. The humiliation is tough because I was always terrified of being humiliated. Always. But the humiliation wasn't mine. The humiliation was theirs and his. And it made so much sense once I got older and got into my teen years. It was like my own father was jealous of me every time I brought a girl home. He was jealous of me because he couldn't keep a woman. How could he? How could he? Remember, my father got dumped and then ended up with my mother, engaged to my mother in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. All of this nonsense with me and all this is based on those two idiots knowing each other for 2 weeks before getting married. Chump. Chumps. Like, why would anybody listen to anything they have to say? You two got married after 2 weeks. You knew each other for 2 weeks. After this chump just got dumped. Couldn't keep a woman to save his life. It's a common theme in my family, actually. I seem to be the exception to the rule. Seems like women can't get away from some men in my family fast enough. Can't get away. And all growing up, everything my father ever did to me, he tried to turn it into, this is for your own good. Like it was always some kind of life lesson. You know what I learned from? Know what I learned? The biggest lesson I learned from him? You better not leave a woman unsatisfied. Because you are a chump. You are a chump. This is a very cathartic video for me. There's been a lot of, discussion between me and my wife. We have similar issues. I'm actually trying to get her on here. She hates the camera, but she does have a good story to tell, and I want to at least try to talk to her and interview her. Maybe she'll be off camera, I'll be on, because she does have some funny stories to tell about her own situation. She was gaslighted too, and rough family situation, and her brothers are very narcissistic, and she has this one, and I'll give you a quick story here just to give you an example. Her youngest brother is such a narcissist. He doesn't wipe his own ass. Literally does not wipe his own ass. Nobody else wipes it. He just walks around with an unwiped ass. Literally stinking of feces and shit. He stinks. And she would tell these stories where she would try to reach him and reason with him. But there was no reasoning with him because it was like a control thing, because he would be sociopathic. And then argue with you because he wouldn't shower and he wouldn't wipe his ass. So she would try everything. Like, they'd be sitting there and she'd be like, hey, Leslie, you know what's cool? What? Wiping your ass. He literally would not, to this day, won't wipe his own ass. Won't wipe his ass. He stinks of shit. He stinks of shit. And he will sit there and he's like, how do you know I didn't wipe my ass? How do you know I didn't wipe my ass? Were you in the bathroom with me? How do you know I didn't take a shower? It's like, because you were in there for 30 seconds and you're not wet, stupid. That's how, were you in there? Were you in there? Did you see me not take a shower? So it's that level of narcissism that she deals with. But I'm telling you, I witnessed it. The guy walks around with an unwiped ass. So I got to get her on and tell some of her stories as well, because they're just hilarious. I'm going to end the video here. Please feel free to share any of my videos anywhere you like. Please subscribe if you haven't. Like, and always feel free to comment. You can friend me on Facebook. The links are in the description box, and my Skype is olliemathews. Thanks everybody for watching, and I'll talk to you real soon. Thanks. Bye.